Hello everyone, I'm back again with this another video. A world without adjectives would still have the sun rising and setting, the flowers blooming, trees bearing fruits, the birds singing, and the bees stinging. So dear students, today we are going to discuss about adjectives in this video. So let's begin. So now first of all, before starting we need to know what are adjectives now. What are these adjectives? Adjectives, they are the words that describe nouns, or you can also say that adjectives are words that describe or modify other words, making your writing and speaking much more specific and a whole lot more interesting too. So words like small, blue and sharp, they are descriptive and they are all examples of adjectives. So because adjectives are used to identify or quantify individual, people and unique things, they are usually positioned before the noun or even before pronouns also that they modify. So now adjectives, they answer such questions: what kind, which one, how many. Like these questions are answered by adjectives. Now adjectives, they can be used to describe color. For example, you can say blue, red, green, brown, purple, yellow, black. And then it can also be used to describe opinion. Example, good opinion, pretty, right, wrong, funny, light, happy. And these adjectives, they can also be used to describe size. Example, big, small, long, short, etc. Adjectives, they can be also used to describe age, old or young. Adjectives, they can be also used to describe shapes. For example, round, triangle, rectangular, square, oval, etc. Adjectives, they can be also used to describe origin. German, Malaysian, etc. These adjectives, they can also be used to describe materials. For example, glass material and then metal, etc. It can be also used to describe distance. Example, long, short, near, far, etc. And these adjectives, they can also be used to describe temperature. Example, cold, warm, hot, cool, etc. Adjectives, they can be used even to describe time. Example, late, early, etc. So now let us go in detail. Now, types of adjectives. Remember that adjectives can modify as well as describe other words. You will find it much easier to identify different types of adjectives when you see them. So now adjectives, they are basically of 7 types. So first one, it is qualitative or descriptive adjective. Second, quantitative adjective. Third, demonstrative adjective. Fourth one is possessive adjective. 5, interrogative adjective. 6, distributive adjective. 7, and the last, compound adjective. So now let us discuss these all in detail, one by one. Now first one, it is qualitative adjective. So now what is this qualitative adjective? Qualitative adjective, it is they are you, or you can also tell it as descriptive adjective. They are used to describe the quality of a person or thing. For example, quality means its size, general description, physical appearance, then age, shape, color, material, origin, and purpose. Now, for examples, tall, excellent, slim, young, square, plastic. So like this you can use in the sentence. I have given two examples. The tall girl is my classmate. Now which girl? How is the girl described over here? Girl, it is a noun and it is described with the help of this tall, isn't it? So that's why this is what kind of this tall means it is size, no? So that's why it is a qualitative or descriptive adjective. Now the students achieved excellent result. What kind of result students have achieved? Excellent. So now it is describing what? Results of the students. So that's why now this excellent, it is a descriptive or qualitative. What kind of quality is that? It is excellent. So now next, second one is quantitative adjectives. So quantitative and adjectives, they are used to indicate the number or amount of things. So for example, some, much, little, enough, all, no, any, whole, several. So now for example, I have made 3 sentences over here. She found many pens under the table. So this many, it is indicating the number. So that's why how many pens she found? Many pens. So now the next one, there was no milk in the jug. So no is also indicating the amount of milk. So how much milk was there? So there was no milk. And then there are 37 students in this class. So 37 itself, it is a number. So how many students? 37 students. So this is a quantitative adjectives, and you can use like this in your sentences. Now next is demonstrative adjective. Now what are these demonstrative adjectives? These adjectives, they are used to point out nouns. Examples: these, that, those. Now for example, I have made 2 sentences over here. This is my friend Dina. And the second one, those books belong to her. So now these and those, they are demonstrative adjective because they are pointing out the nouns, or they are pointing out something. So that's why they are demonstrative adjectives. Now next is interrogative adjectives. Now what are these interrogative adjectives? These adjectives, they are used with noun to ask questions. For examples, what, whose, where, why, how, and which. Now I've used this in sentences, questions over here. Whose pen is this? So here, pen, whose pen is this? The question is asked. So now whose is what? Interrogative adjective. Which way shall we go? Now what is asked over here? Which way? So that's why now this which is interrogative adjective. Now next, possessive adjective. Now this possessive adjective, as the word itself indicates, possessive, it is used to indicate possession, belongingness. Examples: my, your, his, her, our, their, its. So I have used this in the sentences. First one, this is her hat. Their parents came to my house yesterday. So now here in the first sentences, this is whose hat? Her hat. So this is the her is showing belongingness of this hat, isn't it? So that's why this her, it is a possessive adjective. Now their parents, whose parents? Their. So it is this there, it is showing the position of the parents, whose parents are they. And their parents came to whose house now over here? My house. So here this my is showing the belongingness of this house. So that's why this my is also again a possessive adjectives. So this is how you can use possessive adjectives in the sentences. Now next is distributive adjective. Now what are these distributive adjectives? Distributive adjectives, they are used to show that the persons or things are counted collectively. Normally they are used with the singular nouns and they refer to members of a group as individuals. Now for examples, each, every, either and neither. So for example, I have given two sentences over here. Each participant was asked to complete a survey. So there were many participants. So among those participants only, each participant was asked to complete a survey. Okay, so now this participant, among all the participants, each participants were asked, no? So that's why now this each, it is a distributive adjective. Either of these movies would be interesting to me. So now among many movies, so either may be interesting, no? So it would be interesting to me. So that's why now this either is again a distributive adjective. Now compound adjectives. So now what are these compound adjectives? So compound adjectives, they are made up of two or more words joined together by a hyphen. They are often linked together with hyphens to link the words together to show that it is one adjective only. So for examples, lightweight, duty free, four-footed, part-time, cold-blooded, and even warm-blooded, well-behaved. So now for example, let us see in these two sentences, we have to be open-minded about things. So this open-minded, it is a compound adjective. And the next one, the lady is wearing a pair of high-heeled shoes. Again over here, what kind of shoes is it? It is high-heeled. It is describing these shoes. So that's why now this high-heeled, it is a compound adjective. Now comparison of adjectives. There are three forms of comparison. Now adjectives are the forms of comparison, they are positive, comparative and superlative. So now let us know more about these. Now comparison with ER, EST. So we will know even the rules in this later. So we use er, est with the following adjectives. For example, clean, cleaner, cleanest. Dirty, dirtier. Y is replaced over here by ier, and then dirtiest, iest. Y is replaced by again iest over here. Clever, cleverer. Just er is this after this one vowel and then followed by a consonant, so that's why er is added over here, and then here est in superlative, and then simple, simpler, simplest. So just r and st is added in superlative. And now narrow, narrower in comparative, and then narrowest in superlative. Er in comparative is added, and whereas est in super. Let us see the rules how this er and est is added to the adjectives. Now the first rule, we usually add er, est to one syllable words to make comparatives and superlatives. So if you have only one syllable, for example old, only one syllable is there, so older, oldest. Long, only one syllable is there, so longer, longest. So this is how you will add er and est to one syllable words. So what is the next rule now? Second rule, if an adjective ends in e, we add r or st. So for example here nice, it is ending in e, so nicer, nicest. R and then st. Similarly large, it is ending in e, so larger and then largest. Now next, third rule, if an adjective ends in a vowel and a consonant, we double the consonant. For example over here I is big, in big, I is vowel, and then after that G is consonant. So that's why now we need to repeat this consonant. We need to just repeat this consonant. So that's why B-I-G-G and then add E-R and then E-S-T. So bigger, biggest. Now next fat, again A is vowel and T is consonant. So that's why we need to repeat this T. So fatter and then add ER and then EST, fatter and then fattest. Next, fourth rule, if an adjective ends in a consonant and Y, we change Y to I and add ER and then EST. So for example, happy, it is ending in Y. So before Y, there is a consonant. So now you need to change this Y into I and then add ER and then EST. So happy, happier, happiest. So here also in second example, silly. So this before Y there is a consonant. So now you need to remove this Y and then add I and then add ER and then EST over here in the superlative. So silly, sillier, silliest. So now comparison with more or most. So we use more and most to make comparatives and superlatives for most two-syllable adjectives and for all adjectives with 3 or more syllables also. For example, now difficult. So it is having 2 syllables. So more difficult and the most difficult. And beautiful, it is also having more than 1 syllable. So that's why more beautiful and the most beautiful. Now, irregular adjectives. Some adjectives, they have irregular comparatives and superlatives. So these adjectives, it's better you know it. So now, for example, good, better, best, bad, worse, worst, much, more, must, many, more, must, and this much we are using for uncountable nouns, whereas this many you are using for countable nouns. And then little, less, least, little, smaller, smallest. Now special adjectives. However, these common two syllable adjectives, you can either add er or r and est or st, or use more and must also. So for example, here are the few examples. Clever, you can write cleverer or cleverest, or you can also write more clever and most clever. Both are correct. And common, commoner, commonest also is correct, and then more common, most common is also correct. And then likely, likelier, likeliest, this is also correct, and you can also write more likely and most likely. Then next, polite, politer, politest, and even this more polite and most polite is also correct. Next is simple, simpler, simplest, and then more simple and most simple, this is also correct. Now I hope you have understood the video. Now can you identify the adjectives in this sentences? Try using this paintbrush in art class. Many people came to visit the fair. I went into the duty-free shop, but I did not buy anything. He doesn't seem intelligent, but he is. Now, yes, of course, in the first sentence, this is the adjective. The second sentence, many is the adjective. And in the third one, duty free. Last sentence, intelligent is the adjective. Hope you have understood. Thank you.